All white people are racist.
White people are racist.
Hey guys, so I'm playing around today on the app Candid, which is basically like an anonymous posting app similar to 4chan but without the highly illegal porn, which I'm sure is a letdown for some of you. And as with really anywhere on the internet, there's an abundance of SJWs to make fun of, so let's get to it. So this person writes, what is the solution to the wage gap? Step 1, recognize that it's not real. It's been debunked so often and so thoroughly that it's absolutely pitiful that you still believe in it. Step 2, stop. So this person says, don't intersex people prove that gender isn't binary? So no, they really don't. For those of you guys that don't know what intersex means, it's actually not a crazy SJW term. It's a medical condition. It's when someone is born with a sexual or reproductive anatomy that isn't typical of male or female. For instance, someone could be born with a uterus inside and testicles outside. It's also used to describe things that are as broad as hormone imbalances that are present at birth. So this is a birth defect. It's a condition. It's not a third gender. So this person says, people seem to have confused not being politically correct with being as openly racist, homophobic, and tolerant as they want without consequences nowadays. So I don't think this is true at all. I think what you're actually seeing is that people have expanded the definitions of bigotry and racism and homophobia and all this shit so far that really anything can be considered racist these days. So of course you're going to see more racists if you think microaggressions count as racism. And of course you have, provocateurs and people who say controversial things for the sake of saying controversial things. Sometimes I guess I do that, but it's kind of like a natural balance, balancing out all the people who don't want you to be able to say anything. So some people say everything. And I actually don't see it as a negative. I see it as a positive that, free speech is alive and well, a right that is honestly pretty rare throughout the world. Who identifies as a pomosexual? I just found out about it and I really want to know more about it. What are you, fucking attracted to Pomeranians? Like, what? Here's a good one. It's funny that people say pansexuals don't exist because non-binary people don't exist. I usually laugh when people say that because TBH, their ignorance is hilarious. That's like arguing about whether or not food will make you live. There's no opinion. Literal scientific fact. Gender is a goddamn spectrum. 0 psychologists say it's a binary. We're here, we're queer, we're real. That is ill. I mean, look, you're probably right about one thing though. 0 psychologists say that gender is a binary, and that's because they're not biologists. Psychologists do not study or make declarations about what gender is or isn't. That's actually biologists you're thinking of who would never say that gender is anything but binary. So that sucks for you. I hate men. How do I become a feminist? Well, sounds like you're already there. You just need the costume now, which is basically just some blue hair dye and about a 75-pound weight gain. Although I really should not say anything because I have gained like 5 pounds in the last month and it's depressing as shit. When you realize that most white people suffer from cognitive dissonance, it's easier to understand why they behave the way they do, why they try to justify their positions on matters affecting black people. I'm not saying it's right, it just makes sense that they are mentally sick and need help. You know what else really sounds like cognitive dissonance? Convincing yourself that an entire race is mentally ill while also fighting against racism. By the way, that one was posted in the Black Lives Matter group on Candid. I'm sure that's a huge shock. So this one isn't really crazy. It's just something I haven't talked about on my channel, so I wanted to respond to it. This person asks, thoughts on the term TERF, which is trans exclusionary radical feminist. So TERFs are hilarious. They're basically feminists who despise trannies, which I think is so funny, right? Because feminists constantly virtue signal about how welcoming their movement is of trans people and how much they love trans people, but they never address the sect of feminism that's distinctly anti-trans, so much so that it's in the title. And if you actually look into the history of feminism, that has a really long track record of being full of TERFs, so it's just a little less now than there was historically. It's really cringy. If you follow me on Twitter, you've probably seen me, go head to head with some of them, and it's always a good show. Reminder that mascots are terrible. They basically mock furries and otherkin. Do not support mascots. Don't, especially if they're animals. I'll pray for you. And I am tapped out for this video. So I don't want to mischaracterize the app as being like full of SJWs. There's actually a bunch of different people on there, a bunch of different perspectives. There's also a Blaire White group on there. Not a lot of people, but it's there. So download it. And until I see you guys next time,